Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, welcome. My name is Monica. In today's video, I am going to be doing my mid-month wrap-up. So far, and this is September 14th, I have read 20 books. I'm almost done with my 21st book. There's been a lot going on in my life, but I've been having trips and stuff, so I've been able to read more. But I also DNF'd 2 books, and there was a couple that were really short. So if the books are short, or if I'm not vibing with it, I tend to speed up the audiobook, or I skim through the ebook. That is one of the biggest reasons how I read so much. I try not to DNF if I can help it, but I will DNF. But I'm not going to talk about those books. I got a comment on a post for my weekly wrap up, and it was on TikTok, and he's like, how could you read 8 books in a week? I was like, easy. I'm always doing something. I have ADHD. I listen to audiobooks, and I don't really watch TV anymore. I used to watch a lot of TV. It takes a show to really grab me in order for me to want to watch TV, because I just get bored very easily with TV now, which is kind of funny. I still need to watch the Tony and Ziva TV show, because I loved NCIS and I loved Tony and Ziva. When they left, I sort of just stopped watching that show. But anyway, let's just move on to the books, which is why we're here. So the first book that I read in the month of September was Leave Before I Love You by Max Monroe. This was an ARC, an ALC I got from NetGalley. So Max Monroe is a writing duo, so you have 2 women writing under this pen name. Sometimes their books are hit or misses for me, but I decided to give this one a chance because it sounded interesting, and I'm glad I did. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. This one's about brother's best friend and his forced proximity, because they get stranded on a deserted island for 50% of the book. They get rescued at the 50% mark, right? And they always had this connection. They've always wanted to be together, but she's a spoiled little rich girl, and he had some issues with his family, specifically with his mother and his father. He just doesn't have family. So he really sees his best friend and his family as family. I don't think he quite wanted to go there with her, and that's the impression I got with the book. But I really like the survival aspects of it, where he was taking care of her as they were surviving. She had a toothbrush and toothpaste and stuff with her that they managed to bring onto the island. And I really like the development of their relationship, because they had this history before the book even started where they wanted each other. There was flashback scenes where they kissed, and now they have this time to really communicate and come together on this deserted island, and then they get rescued and they're back in real life. Well, both of them actually were seeing other people at the time when their plane went down, and that was a very interesting conflict, but it didn't take very long. That conflict was resolved fairly quickly, and it was more of them trusting in each other to continue to be together. This one did have the surprise pregnancy trope in it, and it actually helped the story because it made them come to terms with things. It made her grow up a little more and a little quicker, and for her to really say what she wanted to say and to trust him. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars, and it is out now. I highly recommend that you pick it up. The audiobook is absolutely fantastic. And then I read The Throne of the Fallen by Kerri Maniscalco. She was a new to me author. I've had this book on my shelf for years. I just never actually read it until now. And it's book 1 in the Prince of Sin series. And I also gave it 4.5 stars. And in this one, the narrators were Shane East and Marissa Kalin. I did not know what to think about this one. I started it and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like this one. It has a very historical romance beginning where you could feel it. And our heroine, she is not who she seems she is. She is an artist. She has this gallery that her father left her. Her father has passed away. She did a forgery when she needed money, but now she's being blackmailed by this guy. He's a lord, I think an earl. He really wants to marry her, but then this other guy comes in, and that's our hero. He is a demon prince, and he is very intrigued by her, especially when she tells him no, that she was not going to help him with a painting. And it goes from there. I got sucked into it because it was the Unseelie court that was doing this game, and the Unseelie king is named Lennox, and there are stuff about our heroine and her family and with the Unseelie court, and we start to uncover secrets, and we get to see what happened with this lord and everything. And I was just sucked in. I gave 4.5 stars. My gosh, I was really entertained. I loved the characters. I loved the character development. I loved the development of the romance. I love the world that Kerri Maniscalco created in this. I haven't read another Kerri Maniscalco book before this, so this was a new one, as I had said, but 4.5 stars for that one. So the next 3 books, I'm just going to tell you the titles and who they're by, and that I really liked them because they are going to be featured in a vlog that's on Saturday that you will see. I've already, everything's ready to go for that vlog. So the first book that I read in that vlog was If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. I really loved that book. I really loved Kindred Spirits of Harling Hall by Sharon Booth. I really loved Nightshade by Autumn Woods, and I ended up getting an ALC of The Austen Affair, and I really loved that book as well. I just was picking books with leaves on the cover, and what I accidentally did, I did not mean to do this. This was just by chance. They were all new to me authors in this vlog. So you'll see that on Saturday. So I'm not going to tell you my ratings or my thoughts. So just look out for that to be dropping on Saturday at midnight Eastern Standard Time. So moving on. And then I read Crochet in Cauldrons by Nancy Warren. This is book 3 in the Vampire Knitting Club. I absolutely love this series. It is so much fun. The last book, I loved the first book. The second book was fine. This one I really enjoyed. Our heroine, she's a witch. She's a new witch. So she's fledgling and she's trying to navigate this world. In book 1, she goes to Oxford to this knitting shop. Cardinal Wolsey is the name of the yarn shop, the knitting shop in Oxford, England. And because her grandmother dies, right? Come to find out, underneath this knitting shop is a nest of vampires, and her grandmother was turned into a vampire, right? That's book 1. That's the setup. And so we have these mysteries and stuff that happens. Well, in this one, her parents come to Cardinal Wolsey's shop. Her mom seems like under a trance, and then she has this mirror. So Lucy's mother gives her a mirror from ancient Egypt that has a witch trapped in it, and the witch is saying, you are now going to die because this demon is hunting down and killing witches for their power. There's a lot of Egyptian lore that plays into this one, which I absolutely loved. You had Egyptologists and archaeologists. Her parents are both archaeologists. And this one was just really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I kind of knew who the demon was, but I was still along for the ride. I had a lot of fun with this one. This series has just been a lot of fun. So if you like cozy mysteries, I would absolutely check this one out. And then the next book that I read that was a hit for me was Wild Card by Elsie Silver. This one I know everybody has been loving. I'm no less 5 stars. My gosh, this one was so well done. So our heroine, Gwen, absolutely love her to pieces. She meets Sebastian Rousseau in a airport, and they are both stuck in the airport because of weather, and he had just met his son for the first time in 24 years because he didn't know he had a son, and she meets him on this day and he's just upset. So it's very grumpy sunshine, and they hit it off, and they really they bond in the airport, and then they separate. She gives him her number, but he put it incorrectly because, I mean, lack of sleep. And so for a year, he thought she was ghosting him, and she thought he had ghosted her. And so she moved on with his son, didn't know it was his son, Trip, who, listen, his name is douchey. His persona is douchey. So she meets up with Sebastian again at his son's birthday party, and Trip is a professional hockey player, doesn't understand Gwen at all. She is a yoga instructor, and he comments on her weight, and Sebastian shuts him down, and I fell in love with Sebastian at that point. He did not want to mess with his son's ex-girlfriend because he wanted to have a relationship with his ex, and Gwen honestly supported that. Then you had Clyde who came in. I forever love Clyde. He's an older man. He needed I think it was a kidney transplant. Gwen decides to help him. Sebastian also helps him, and they end up in the same house together, and everything was just so good. I absolutely loved it. I even loved it, the third act conflict. It made sense for the characters and the setting and everything. And I just loved how Sebastian's like, if it's between my son and her, it's going to be her because she is it for me. This one is Chef's Kiss, 5 stars. This one will definitely be on my top reads of 2025. I will be very surprised if it doesn't get there, but my gosh, I absolutely love this one. Something really, really good would have to come to replace this, and I don't know if that's going to happen at this point. So 5 stars for that one. So then I listened to Valentine Nook. It was an ALC from Valentine PR. The narrators are Andy Arndt and James Joseph, and I gave this one 5 stars. Okay, so this is a first book in a series, but the original first book was Once Upon a Merry Christmas, I think that's what it's called. It had the gingerbread on the house. It came out last year. I really liked that one. It was an incomplete story. It was an incomplete romance. This one, it was really setting up who the characters are. Because in the original novella, well, it wasn't about our hero, Lando, and our heroine, Holiday. That one was about Alex and a little girl named, I think, Haven, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I read that one. We find out in that novella that Lando's fiance cheated on him with his best friend. He walked in on them the night before they were supposed to get married, and he was just devastated. So his brothers took him to Aspen for Christmas. Christmas was always a hard time for them because their father died around Christmas time. And so now we're back in England. His real name is Orlando, but he goes by Lando, is a duke, and the Duke of Oxfordshire, and he's a billionaire. And Holiday is an award-winning actress. She just won an Oscar and a BAFTA and a Golden Globe, and she needed a break from the limelight and people just being up in her business. So she rents at this cottage in Valentine Nook, and it was the same cottage that he found his fiance having sex with his best friend. And so that made Lando very, very grumpy that his mom and his sister rented out that cottage. But once he got over his grumpiness, Holiday and him became friends, and then they just fell in love while she's there for the summer. And he realized stuff about his ex-fiance and his feelings towards his ex-fiance. And Holiday, for her part, when she fell in love with him, it was genuine, and it was not... She fell in love with him because he saw her for who she is. If you know anything about celebrities, everybody thinks that they know them, and so they think they know their temperament, personality, their likes, dislikes, and stuff. But ultimately, we don't know them. They're real people. And in this small little cute English town, people saw Holiday for her, including Lando, especially in Lando. And she ended up becoming best friends with Lando's little sister, Clemmy, and I absolutely loved the romance. I loved that she would write notes to his stallion Thunder, because she was afraid of horses, and he's like, well, no, you can do it. And I loved how he was protective over her, and I just absolutely loved the romance. The third act conflict might ruffle some people, but I actually felt like it was very on point for her station in life, his station in life specifically, because she is a very busy actress. She's very famous. He's a duke who has a lot of responsibilities towards not just his family, but his tenants, and a lot of business matters as well. So he can't just take off and follow her around the world while she acts and stuff. So I like how that all wrapped up. I loved the romance. I loved all the characters. I think the original is a good start. This one has a different tone to it, okay? So if you did not like Once Upon a Christmas Tree, you might want to try this one. I really do recommend that you do try this one because it's different. The tone is different. You still have the characters. I think she wrote that one just to set up this world. It was a setup book. So I absolutely love this book. I gave 5 stars, and I would recommend it. And it's coming out this week, so you'll be able to see it. I think it's coming out on Thursday or Friday. And then I read The Gingerbread Bakery by Lori Gilmore, and I did talk about it a little bit on a life update that I did on Saturday, so I'll link that down here. So I'm not going to talk too much about this book or the next book, Everything is Tuberculosis. So The Gingerbread Bakery is the 5th book in the Dream Harbor series, and I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was going to be fall. It was actually winter, which is kind of funny, but I still enjoyed it. It's childhood friends to enemies to lovers. They had a past. He left. She got really angry and very prideful and just refused to forgive him for a very long time, even though he was like, just forgive me, I'm apologizing, and she refused to do it. And that's why it wasn't a 5 stars, because I'm just like, I personally felt the heroine was a little unreasonable. And then Everything is Tuberculosis. This was a very quick read. I got it done within a couple of hours. It's like 158 pages, but I had the audiobook from my library and I listened on 2.5 times speed. So I literally had it done it within a drive because I went apple picking. And my dad was listening to this with me. We were just kind of like, oh, this is very interesting. So it talks about the history of tuberculosis. And in the video, I said it was a couple 100 years. No, I knew I was really lowballing it, but I didn't want to give you complete inaccurate information. So tuberculosis, also known as consumption, also known as wasting disease, it was just very interesting. It's been around since mankind's been around, and it's very highly contagious. And when he was talking about a guy named Henry, a kid named Henry who had it in Sierra Leone, that was really, really sad about what happened to him and his family with tuberculosis. The information was very interesting. I loved how John Green talked about tuberculosis and trying to cure tuberculosis in a historical context, a medical context, social, cultural context, and honestly corporate America, because he really chastises Johnson & Johnson, and I agree with that chastisement. Johnson & Johnson really did people dirty with this particular topic. Anyway, I recommend that one if you want to check out a nonfiction that's quick, interesting, very factual, and I love how John Green narrated it. You should check it out if you have on your library app, or pick up the book. I do recommend it. So those are the books that I gave 4.5 or 5 stars. You know, I actually had 4 5 stars at the beginning of the month, so that's not bad. Anyway, so that's it for this wrap up. Let me know if you've read any of these, if you are planning on reading any of these books. Let me know all the things, and if you made this far in this video and you want to let me know that you're here, please leave me a brown heart emoji, because that's all I can think of. And until next time, my friends, happy reading. Bye.